I have 3 wide receivers that you want to play this week. And even if you don't have them on your fantasy rosters, I've got ways that you can make money off of them in week 5. First up is Curtis Samuel of the Washington Commanders. In his 4 games, he has received at least 7 targets in each of them. He has also had rushing attempts in 3 out of the 4 games, with week 4 being the first one that he did not have an attempt. In 3 out of the 4 games, he has also had at least 7 receptions. In week 5, he gets Tennessee, who has given up the 4th most points to opposing wide receivers. I like Samuel for at least 8 targets and 6 receptions. That should net him around 50 receiving yards to go with 2 to 3 carries for around 20 rushing yards. Over on Price Picks, you can pick up his over on 10 fantasy points, which he has done in 3 of the 4 games, and I think he does this for the 4th out of 5 games. The second wide receiver on my list is Chris Olave of the New Orleans Saints. There's a lot of uncertainty around the Saints offense in week 5 because we don't know if Alvin Kamara is going to play, we don't know if Jameis Winston is going to play, and we don't know if Michael Thomas is going to play. Even if Michael Thomas plays and Jameis Winston doesn't, I still like Chris Olave this week. The Saints get to face Seattle, who just gave up a ton of yards to the Lions. TJ Hawkinson had 8 receptions for 179 yards and 2 touchdowns. And journeyman Josh Reynolds had 7 receptions for 81 yards and a touchdown. That's a lot of fantasy points to receiving options, and I think that Chris Olave is going to have a big week in week 5. Despite the possible return of Michael Thomas, they can both have a big week. The Saints don't really have a tight end that they rely on in the passing game, and Chris Olave could see 6 receptions for over 100 yards. There are no props for him on any site because of all the uncertainty, but if you look out for those before the game starts, you might be able to get a good price on an Olave yardage over or fantasy point total. I like over 70 yards would be an easy bet for me, and I like him anywhere over 11 fantasy points. The third wide receiver that I'm excited about this week is Romeo Doubs of the Green Bay Packers. Doubs has quickly become a favorite of Aaron Rodgers, and that alone is a good thing. He has had an efficient start to his career with 19 receptions on only 24 targets, so he's catching just about everything that is thrown his way, and you wouldn't expect that to change in week 5 with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. In the last 2 weeks, he has 13 receptions on 16 targets for 120 yards in both of his touchdowns. He has yet to have a blow-up yardage week, and I think that could come here against the Giants in week 5. I have Doubs down for around 10 targets, 7 receptions, and over 100 yards. So that means I like the over on all of his props over on Price Picks. You can get receiving yards at 43.5, fantasy score over 11 points, and over 4 receptions for Romeo in this week 5 matchup against the Giants. Like the video, hit subscribe, and hit the notification bells, and you can find the link for Price Picks in the description below.